Hi guys, this is Dandelion Song, and I actually meant to pull up another page. Hold on a second, let me get another page for you. This is going to be about how the 49 and ISIS ties in to the Bride of Christ, the Philadelphia train wreck, the 601 on the head of the Philadelphia train and all that, but I have the wrong visual, so hold on a second. Alright, well I wasn't actually planning on this visual, but this is a good place to start because we have George Washington, Master Mason, number 33, and he's on a white horse, and there has been white horse gematria in the stock market and in the journalism shooting. White horse is the pale horse of, I believe this is what the tie-in is, especially because I really saw a lot on the stock market fall, and I don't know, I haven't been watching the news to see if we recovered on that or not, but on the fall that happened on the 86th day, where the 86th, the stock market, that was clever, right? That was at 824, which is at 868. And I have another video that that's going up right now about how 868 is the Lord number, and they want you to think that this is the will of the Lord, and that's what they want you to, energetically relax into the will of the Lord. This is not the will of the Lord. These guys wrote Revelations. They are long-lived, and I'm sorry because I'm probably going to offend a whole bunch of Christians, but you guys need to think about the fallen angels being long-lived, and some of them are good, most of them are bad, but what I want to say is that there actually are good Illuminati. There's a lot of stuff happening here on the planet, but the bad ones, what they did is to them it was really only 6 months ago in their time, because that's how long-lived they are. And so humans need to really try to wrap their mind around strategies that are longer than their lifetime. Like, you need to think about like how a dog would see us as a god, because we are long-lived. We can make plans for them that seem mind-boggling to them just because they have short lifespans and lower IQs. Now, these guys have long lifespans, so for them to make a plan that's 4,000 years old, that's only 2 years long in one of their lifetimes. So anyway, they wrote the Bible. They wrote in the pale horse. They wrote in that the pale horse has something to do with the devaluation of currency. Now, they're trying to make this come true. Now, they're having some trouble making this come true, in case you haven't noticed. And my only explanation for that they're having trouble is that there must be some good guys in the mix here. There must be some good guys running around on the ground, putting clogs. Well, that's probably an unfortunate metaphor, but I'm going to just say it anyway. Putting clogs in the wheels, in the factory wheels here. I don't know what Jade Helm means. I actually think it's about them trying to get underground in time. And I have a lot of ideas about 915 and how the digital root of that is 96 and how that's actually related. 96 is actually a digital root of 816, which is the central number I've been talking about. It's the Bride of Christ. It's Allison Parker. It's stock market. I didn't look at Cecil the Lion, but I bet you there's 816 numbers there. So anyway, this guy, this is a picture of him on the Delaware, and we were going to talk about the Philadelphia train wreck, and I was going to tie the Philadelphia, what I need to do because of the last video that I'm putting up about Lord Pakal having the Lord having the number of the way in it. The way is a divergent 7. It's a 7 times a 7, and it multiplies to a 49, and that is the gematria of way. So whenever I see a 49, I call that a way number. And just in case you're new to my channel, I might be repeating these things a bit, but for example, Tiger Woods on his humiliation ceremony, he had a divergent 7 on his white cap, and he also had all the other numbers, the 923 and the 924 and the T and the W. He had a divergent 7 on his white cap over his third eye. Well, this is exactly the same as the Amtrak train, which had a 601 on each corner of its head, and it was derailed next to the Delaware, which brings us back to George Washington on his white horse here, and he's a 33. Just think of him as a worm, because an OR is a 33-degree Mason, and that's what G-E-O-R. Now, I know a lot of wonderful people named George, and I know some of the best people named George, and maybe George Washington was a good person, but he was a Freemason 33, and that is the OR, okay? So people can't help it, whatever they're named, and they make the best of whatever they're named. We all have slave names, basically. So let's look at this. But okay, so I'm trying to like stay on my track here. What I want to bring you along with is when we're looking at the 86s, and that's the stock market, and that is what they're pointing at with that is the devaluation of funds, because they're not just trying, they tried to kill everything with the housing bubble. They've tried to run the economy off the cliff a few times, but what they need to have happen is a devaluation of currency, because that's really the only way that's going to take down the economy. We keep coming back from everything else, but a devaluation of currency really stops everything. And I do want to talk about the next stage of the economy. So the good guys on the planet are actually trying to free us from this corrupt economy, but they are trying to do it in a way that's not going to cause mass hysteria. The bad guys are trying to cause mass hysteria. Okay? So, and that comes back to the white horse. This is the pale horse. White horse also means a deception. So, for example, in the movie, I think Armageddon, they called their spaceship the Messiah, that was going to go up and divert the comet, and it was a white horse. And that tells you that, one, if they tell you that they're going to go up and divert a comet, they're not doing that. That's a diversion. They're telling you right in the code that, ha ha, we're just kidding. We're not going to go up and try to save you from a comet. Also, what it could be is that the whole comet is a hoax too, which is what I think. I think if we have news about a comet, or if we have news of a comet landing on the East Coast, it's going to be a nuclear hoax of some kind like that. So it's going to be a deception. You know, it's hard to say. I'm just a little person over here. I don't know any insiders, but that's my really strong feeling from looking at the code, and I've looked at a lot of code. And those two movies, Deep Impact and Armageddon, they overlay each other like the two sides of a dollar bill. That was shown to me in a dream, that you lay the two sides of the dollar bill over each other. It's the same as those movies. When you have twin movies and twin sides and twin seals, you need to lay them over each other. And that goes all the way back to the Mayan codes, because they did transformer codes where they lay things over each other and then new pictures emerge. It goes way back. Those Mayans were really smart. All right, so here he is on the edge of the Delaware. Well, what do we know that happened on the edge of the Delaware? Oh, the Philadelphia train wreck, where it came off the rails. And that was the humiliation initiation of that white train. And I wasn't as huge into numbers then as I am now, and I kind of want to go back and look at that, except for there's so many things happening now, it's hard to keep up. But that happened on the edge of the river Delaware, and that is the first state. So what the Freemasons of the Founding Fathers are telling themselves, they're not really telling it to you because they don't think you're worth talking to. But I think you're worth talking to, so I'm going to tell you that the first state, your most important thing to pay attention to is your awareness. Be aware, the awareness, Delaware. Okay? That's the first state, the most important thing. So next to the state of Delaware, in Philadelphia, they take this train off the tracks and they have sevens on its forehead, and that's also its speed. So it's a triplet, or what you could call a trinity of sevens. If you go back and look at the pictures, I even have a video up of this. It has a 106 on each corner of its forehead, almost like horns. And if you look at the pharaoh hieroglyphs, those guys have a worm with a little, it's a horned worm, and it looks like little sevens on the forehead. Okay? So, you know, when they do a humiliation initiation for themselves, for them it's progress. They think that they are reaching towards perfection. So you might think that they're saying, you know, like I think Zachary K. Hubbard made this connection, and I think it's a good one, where they are taking the train off the rails, and that what they're saying is that the train is actually the United States. We could look at the train symbolism of Philadelphia and try to see whether that is the United States, whether it's going to be a humiliation initiation for the United States. And we know that we have a divided kingdom. I've talked in many of my other videos about how ancient Babylon, where Daniel 5, they have the writing on the wall there about the fall of the divided kingdom, that lines up geographically in a straight flippin' line to the Freedom Tower, Washington Monument and Georgia Guidestones. So they are very actively pointing at the fall of our House of Cards. There's another way that they're pointing at it. So this is going to be a humiliation initiation for, I think they're pointing at the United States. And they see it, they don't see it as, you know, the final battle. They see it as a step on a step of purification. So they think they're getting closer to purification and higher power. But I wanted to show you this. Now, Philadelphia, the other part of the code, and I haven't seen anyone else make this connection, Philadelphia has 2 phi's in it, in the word. This points to a new algorithm of gematria where you multiply phi times itself. If you square phi, the first 8 digits past the decimal point are the same. And the first 3 of those digits are 6, 1, 8. That is the opposite of the Bride of Christ. Bride of Christ gematria is 816. Allison Parker gematria is 816. Stock market gematria is 816. I finally just now remembered the name of Morgan Freeman because his step-granddaughter was supposedly killed in a bizarre manner on 8/16. That's an 816, people. All right, so stay tuned to hear more about Morgan Freeman, Tiger Woods, more about 816, and why this type of this conditioning towards the destruction of the Bride of Christ is very pertinent. You need to disconnect yourself from this conditioning and probably, I don't know if you can talk to your neighbors about this because it's so complex, but I think that you can pray. You can pray for people who are trapped under this conditioning to become free of the oaths and free of the lies. And I think that basically that is the stage that we're at right now, where in order to divert some of these things that they're trying to create, that we can pray for the freedom of the minds. All right, so stay tuned to find out more about Morgan Freeman and what happened to his step-granddaughter and how it mirrors ancient Anunnaki happenings. It's kind of weird. All right, well, stay tuned. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.